บอกว่าพอดีthe new CEO for Tom Sunday so
I can't see that.
I don't understand
Right.
All right. So
you know what's
Untitled by chance? Apologize.
it's Accelerator 2012.
Thank you.
this one taken yeah this one is on
You can move closer.
Yeah, okay.
okay
Well, I have some introductory remarks to make, of course, so that may take some time until they get their presentations to George. First of all, I want to say welcome to the International Accelerator. We are so happy to host you. George was a guest of Salvatore in Italy in September, I believe.
yes
Looking at some 50 startups, pan-European startups. We are working with a few of them. Hopefully.
yeah I know
Two of them signed term
Two of them
sheet.
signed up. Hopefully we might find a way of bringing them to our program.
wonderful
We might find some here that we might want to invite to our program if they're inclined to come to the US. So we are the only accelerator in the US, to our knowledge, that is focused on foreign-born entrepreneurs. By background, most of our mentors, as well as investment committee members, have a lot of international experience. I am from your neighboring country, Greece, where I grew up. So I started this accelerator hoping that we're going to have better success rate on VCs in the US because foreign-born entrepreneurs are working, technically extremely competent, frugal, sometimes more frugal than is necessary, and they don't come here to fail. So that's failure is not an option. And that's the premise by which the International Accelerator was put together. We have 24 portfolio companies. We review, George, is it safe to say close to 3,000
Yes, I'm doing
or
it.
more applicants every year, and we select 12 companies to join our program. So it's highly selective. We've been successful. I'm proud to say that in the sense that the 24 portfolio companies collectively, they've raised 144 million in capital. Some of them Series A and B and C, many of them in the seed stage, particularly those that we recruited last year, but during the pandemic, they haven't yet come here. So we haven't even begun to seriously work with them. Hopefully in January, this place will be packed with portfolio companies from overseas. There are 14 countries represented. We did have an Italian company. Didn't do as well as we hoped for, but that's the nature of the beast. We're not going to have 12 companies be very successful every year. Some of them will fail, some of them will return capital, just the capital, and some of them will provide extraordinary returns to the investors. So we're very well aware of those stats. We're tracking now much better than VCs, I would say, in terms of success outcomes. And 25 to 30% of our portfolio companies are going to provide significant returns, as opposed to the 15%, which is a venture capital model. So we're very pleased with the results. We're raising a $50 million fund sometime at the end of first quarter of this year to begin to fund our own companies, as opposed to making money only to outside VCs. Now, we will never initiate an investment on our own. We'll have to have a VC first before we invest money in our companies. I want to introduce you to our team. George Kapouros is Vice President of business development, which means he goes through all of the applications and selects a list that will be conducting due diligence. She will be conducting the due diligence along with Park and myself included. And then after that, we present to our investment committee. 2 of them are sitting here. 5 companies every other month. Our investment committee meeting will be Saturday. They will be looking at 5 companies, 1-hour interviews, and once that interview is conducted, we typically select our companies. It could be all 5, it could be 2, it could be none out of the 5. So that's our process. I want to introduce Park, our new COO. He's come from a venture background, primarily in the healthcare sector. But in this accelerator, we're agnostic, sector agnostic. We have all sorts of portfolio companies. And we are looking now to hire a CMO, a Chief Marketing Officer, as well as we have Vivian, who's working with us. She's not here today, but is our graphic artist and making sure that everything looks spick and span in terms of the presentation for investor material. So again, I want to welcome you. What we're going to do is start with your presentations. Is there any order particularly, George, that you want to go?
No, I'm going to put it on the log.
Well,
You to start first, just do it. And you can go alphabetic number.
We're going to give you,
21.
okay.
we're going to give you about 5 to 7 minutes, and then there'll be, I'm sure, quite a few questions from everyone in this room.
So I can give you the HDMI cable, or you can bring your presentation over here.
I thought you had them already, you don't?
Oh, true. Yes, I have them from yesterday.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
except for them, 2 of them.
Yeah, I
are
think
not
he
on
said
And I
it
just
was.
sent them over the update.
Oh, here you
Okay.
go.
Why don't you start when I get there?
So who's going to go first?
You can go with, Ottavio, you want to go first?
Sì, ma non la mia non c'è.
Ottavio, non the one that I sent to you.
Okay, the one from yesterday, right?
There's a link.
And
Them from the
I believe
website.
I talked to all of you
Mhm.
a month ago when I
Yes.
provided in our session online. I hope I answered a lot of questions for you that you might have had at the time, but feel free to answer.
And that was one of the reasons, I mean, I know we talked with you and then they were very curious about your model, you know, the way you guys operate and all the information you provide us, and like, it would be a good way to see firsthand.
Well,
I'm
as George gets ready, perhaps I will share a little bit more. We only work with foreign-born entrepreneurs. We
Yeah, you can click on the link.
are a 12-month acceleration program, sometimes a bit longer. We provide free lawyers,
You
free
can start with
housing,
Ahmed,
free
you want a speech
everything.
deck.
In fact, the startups live in my home right now. But we will have 1 house or 2 where they can stay for free, up to 6 months. If the house is available, they can stay longer.
It's okay.
I'll tell you, most of our
Also,
portfolio
we can start with
companies
another one, they already have.
stay for over a year.
Mhm.
We
I can start.
raise capital up to $1 million.
Let's start
DRB.
with DRB.
Capital
Let's start
through a
with the-
safe instrument, and we conduct
Let's
business
just
development for you.
Say grazie.
Everything that we provide is free. You have an office here. There's nothing that we cannot do that the portfolio companies ask us. We're their chauffeur. I cook for them. Everything that, this is kind of a small
Yeah,
family type of an environment. And
yeah.
we
Facciamo così.
the company really also provides our program of what we do. So we take 10% equity for post-revenue companies. Gross revenue is over 250,000 revenue, and we take 15% equity for pre-revenue. So we'll take your materials, push them up, get them investment grade, go immediately to getting new clients and all fundraising, all of the same.
All right, we are ready,
Okay,
so we can start the show.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Giuseppe Mena, co-founder and CTO of DRB. Everybody wants drones to be fully autonomous.
would it be better to sit on the other side? So you can be.
Can we turn the computer on?
Well,
No?
it would be challenging for the webcam to be on, so, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because you wanna show on the webcam.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
You have a short cable?
Yeah,
Mhm. You might wanna stand up, right?
No, it doesn't
No,
matter.
it's
Doesn't
not.
matter? All right.
Relax.
All right.
Everybody wants drones to be
Yeah.
autonomous, since this will be cost effective, simplify and speed up operations, and make also them safer. Our mission is to develop technologies which enable safe, precise, and fully automatic drone services, like for industrial inspections, asset inspections, delivery, logistics, and also in general smart movement. Our solution is made up mainly of two parts: a patented radio beacon system, which is an hardware software platform, which is able to estimate the drone position, and proprietary artificial intelligence software that we create for every type of application. They are verticalization software. Here you can see the part of the radio beacon system. The radio beacon system is a radio frequency device. Here in the photo you can see the receiver, and it's unique since you only need one receiver and one transmitter. The receiver is able to detect the position of the transmitter in a radius of more or less 500 yards with a precision of 2 to 4 inches. It's totally independent from other technologies for positioning. So, for example, for GPS or LiDAR, and so used in combination with other technologies, it can enable full redundancy on positioning of the drone. We start developing the system for drones, but it's very general and can be applied to every object moving in the air, on the ground, or even in space. So we are now also trying to approach space industry. The combination of radio beacon and artificial intelligence software is also a very general purpose system. We started using it for wind tower inspections, and today we are able to do a complete inspection without need for a skilled pilot on the ground. We only need a basic pilot for regulations, so it has to be there for supervising the operation. But it only has to put on the ground the transmitter, push a button, and the drone does all the inspection with a high quality result, and also an high repetitive result. So we give the operator the freedom to choose when to inspect their asset, and also the result reduction. Another project where we are involved is for high voltage lines. Here we have a partnership with Positron, produces a sensor for entity testing of insulators. And we created the special drones with a car, which is able to carry this sensor. And through our system of radio beacon and artificial intelligence, we are able today to assist the pilot during the inspection. And in the next years, we will be able to do the inspection fully automatic. And with Leonardo and Telespazio,
Okay, I'll have some questions later. Go ahead.
Okay, Leonardo del Spazio. We have a partnership for urban delivery. It was a project promoted by ENAC, which is the Italian aviation regulator. And they will use our radio beacon system to create smart corridors, safe corridors for drones. It will be used as a backup for GPS to create this sort of drone highway for urban delivery with drones. And we have also used it for indoor and outdoor logistics. So here summarize some of our partnership and pilots we have done in the last years, both in Italy and in Europe, for wind farm, bridges, high voltage, and delivery. We want to be technology providers, so we are searching for industrial partnership with companies that will adopt our technology and including the products or services, or also to buy from us the full solution, like the case of the wind tower inspection. Our competitors are mainly companies using drones with pilots that they send where they need to do the inspection. And compared to them, we simplify the operations and also reduce cost and give freedom to the owner of the asset to do the inspection when he wants or when he needs. And another type of competitors are other companies that use autonomous drones, but developed with technology already present on the market, like ITA GPS or LiDAR. Compared to this type of solution, we introduce a higher level of redundancy. Since LiDAR and computer vision still depends on the ambient, on the environment. If it is a sunny day, if it is cloudy, if there is fog, dust, or something that is not ideal, they do not perform well. Since we are radio frequency based technology, we are not. We can work well also in this condition. And RTK GPS depends on GPS. So when you have a problem of quality of signal of GPS, also RTK is stable, like under bridges or indoor spaces, or even the days where signal from GPS is not. Here are the co-founders. I'm 15 years old entrepreneur in IT services as a system architect and system administrator. Diego Piazza is our CEO, has a PhD in telecommunication and also an executive MBA with ISCP Europe School, and is also an entrepreneur in ICT. And Luca Reggiani is a PhD in telecommunication and actually researcher and professor at ITA.
So we take questions now or at the end of every presenter? Probably now, right?
Let's do it now. Your radio transmitter, how does it determine ground truth?
We can estimate the quality.
No, ground truth. How does it know precisely where it is when you put your transmitter
Okay,
on the ground?
we made several tests in using other technologies as ground truth to us.
So you use like GPS with selective
We
positioning and stuff
also
like that?
used in indoor. We also use the technology that used in a laboratory that is OptiTrack. I don't know if you know.
So, okay.
And compared to that for the indoor, we made several tests, not putting the transmitter, the board on the drone, by using fixed structures. So we had the geometry and we could measure the precision.
So when you use your radio transmitter, is it supplementing GPS on the drone or is it replacing the GPS on the drone?
Can be used in combination with GPS for redundancy, or it can be used when GPS is not available. So even without GPS.
Last quick question on that. You mentioned as you were talking about that LiDAR, and I see you using radio frequency. I see you using the elements on the drone. I don't see LiDAR being used there. How are you using LiDAR as part of your transmitter receiver?
We don't use LiDAR. It
Okay.
is an alternative to LiDAR for increasing precision of GPS. Someone for autonomous inspections uses its primary positioning system, GPS and LiDAR for mapping and giving a more precision and adapting to the actual environment.
So-
We are not using LiDAR, but
My understanding is they're not using LiDAR or GPS, they're using a radio frequency.
Yeah, they're using radio
Pattern process,
frequencies as
like
part of
using
it.
a 2 to 3 inch accuracy.
Well, yeah, you have to go ahead and get the ground truth established to be able to do that. And your range from your radio transmitter was what?
500, yeah.
500 yards. So as I'm doing inspection of windmills or high voltage lines or stuff like that, do you set up a combination of multiple transmitters then?
We can
And
use,
do that the entire length of the transmission line?
we can use multiple transmitter and receiver can talk with multiple of them, and so hopping one by one.
So I'm trying to understand part of the value proposition. So let's say I'm going today to go and do a 50-mile high voltage line inspection, which is about common, what you see with other drones today, about 50 to 75 miles. I would have to put one of your radio transmitters every 1,000 yards.
You need the precision for,
But you can overlap, so 900 yards to 1,000 yards for two.
the idea is that where you don't need an high precision or an high redundancy, you can use GPS as is done today. Where you need precision, so proximity to the object you want to inspect, or if you need redundancy over the whole line, you need to put a transmitter every 4 or 500.
Is GPS,
Transmitters are made to be very small and cost effective. They are the smallest and simplest part of the system.
so GPS 6 will give me half-inch precision. So
And everything is working here.
but GPS 6 is half-inch precision, and yours is 4 inches precision?
2 to 3.
2 to 3.
Free, but our is choose free. Every day you use the system in that application. GPS can change day by day if you have problems in GPS signal.
Let me just give you part of my background real quick. For the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, the US intelligence agency that does all of this type of spacing and imaging and stuff, I did their roadmaps, I did their grand challenges. So I understand imaging technology and flying technology pretty well, both at the drone level, the terrestrial level, and the space level. So I'm trying to understand the nuances around yours, and particularly how, with yours with the multiple transmitters, you maintain the precision that you have with single point transmitters that you're not doing any additional correlation with. And so that's what I'm trying to figure out.
We maintain a precision also when we have it's they work on different frequencies.
Perhaps you can exchange business cards and you can continue afterwards, or
Yeah, I agree.
David has national security clearance, so he's top gun.
Thank you.
Because I find yours interesting, particularly from the fact that your base station You're evidently using, I think I counted 14 different transmitting nodes on it,
On the board?
on the board, on the box. Yeah, your base station.
Your transmitter.
The receiver,
Yes. How many units are there?
12. We have a 4 array of 4 antennas per pair. And it could be 4.
So that's part of the way you're beginning to get some of the signal differentials then. Okay.
A market that might be very appropriate for you is cell towers. They require inspection anymore. And usually, I mean, now you may have competition there, but the companies pay $1,500 for someone manually to go to the top and take pictures. Now everything is done by drones. So it's a huge market, and there's a lot of cell towers out there. Needless to say, Texas is the king when it comes to wind energy. More than probably any other state combined in the US. There's 22 gigawatts of electricity that will be wind and solar just in the next year. So this is, out in West Texas, that's all you see, wind turbines. My question is, you have a drone that has multiple applications. Is it the same architecture of the drone? Because in the logistics, I want to know how much weight you can lift and how long can you go. What is the battery range of your?
The battery life of our
Yeah. What is the range of your drone?
But we don't produce drones. Our technology can be applied to
Any kind of-
commercial drones,
Okay.
professional grade commercial drones. So
Okay.
DJI X4 or
Because that space is very crowded, and I've seen several drone companies that claim one of them was going to supply the oil and gas platforms from the Gulf, and they can lift up to 500 pounds and travel 200 miles. Which the less the load, the more distance. And there are logistics, obviously, drones that have to have a bit more distance than others. Anyway, that's the
I
presentation.
think there's a question.
How much are those receivers? How much is each receiver?
How much?
Does it cost to build each receiver and what to buy?
yeah, actually is under $1,000
Per receiver?
the receiver, but with no high volume production. So it's the cost of the prototype for us.
And you're building them yourself? Or are you contracting them?
We are contracting with specialized companies.
So your business model, is it subscription based or you
Yes.
sell hardware and software?
Subscription.
How much do you charge?
We are still trying to figure it out.
Okay. Good. Next.
George, you have Diamante?
Everything I have done.
No, you wanna go? Oh, she's coming.
I think she's got it.
Or you can go.
Oh, we can wait for it.
Or we can have Maurizio. You wanna go, Maurizio?
It's me?
Yeah. React for lunch.
Here.
Yeah, how it works. There we go.
I can stand up and do.
Let's do like Giuseppe did.
Yeah,
I think this is-
You can sit down, whatever you like, whatever you make sure.
I believe this is one.
These are from yesterday.
Yeah, I think just recently, just now.
Oh, the PowerPoint?
This is one of them, they are.
Well,
And especially if it's a factory, good.
So one of my missions earlier in the introduction is Chris Malum is a double E expert in quantum computing. He has a quantum machines company. And generally he's a extremely good business person. David, as we've discussed, he has national security clearance. He's developed a national defense doctrine for the US government, very, very high level. I'm kind of a generalist. My background is economics, but I've looked at over 6,000 portfolio companies so far. I have a pretty good view, and I'm the business development guy and fundraiser. Park is our COO. He has relevant healthcare experience, but he's an operating CFO for every one of our portfolio companies. Craig is our legal counsel. He's also a small investor in startups, so anything legal, he can answer any questions that you might have. Do we have anybody online?
No.
No. You were online earlier, but you, and these two gentlemen have a high-tech background. You already know them, so feel free to ask questions too, by the way. Okay.
Okay, guys, sorry if I give the shoulder to you, I only can see angles, okay, that's, if it is fine. Okay, I am Mauricio Iello, I'm the CEO of Red for Life. We are a biotech company whose aim is to develop technological solutions to accelerate biomedical research. The problem that we solve is that when you develop a drug, before testing the drug into human, there is a phase which is called clinical, where the drug has to be tested in the lab or using animals. But for one reason or the others, none of this is a good approach, because when the tests are passed and you go to the human, we see an incredibly high failure rate, 80%. And this means that there are very big costs, 1 to 3 billion for a single drug to be developed, and a long timeline to do it. So our solution is called MIVO, which is a multi-in vitro organ device. MIVO is an organ on chip, so it is a device able to host human tissue and then recreating a perfectly working organ in the lab.
Certo, ma devi prima sbloccare il dispositivo.
I think it's the Google recognized approach.
I switched off because I know that
Una ricerca ha dato questi risultati.
it will not stop even if I say we shall have about that. So what we offer is a very high predictability, because the results that we obtain with our device match clinical studies, and we have 75% time reduction and 50% cost reduction compared to the use of animals. Of course, we are fully compliant with the new regulations of the 3R, which is replace, reduce, and refine the use of animals. We have IP protection worldwide for our device. And okay, if I can just a quick. No, I can't.
Yeah, maybe because it's the Google. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Also, we can skip it if you prefer, but yeah, we skip. Okay, so it was a quick video just to show the technology. In any case, the market opportunity is big because we are in the drug discovery field, so which means that making some basic assumption at the end, we reach an obtainable market of 23 million euro or dollar, of course, if you make the translation. In 5 years. Of course, there is competition. We have both direct competitors, which means similar technology, or indirect competitors, animals, organoids, lab on chip. And by carefully looking at each of these, we can say that we have considerable advantages compared to all the companies that you see in the bottom part of the slide. Our business model is selling chambers, so selling pipes. The fact is that our organ on chip are disposable, which means for the customer, it means that they are very comfortable to use, because the customers only have to receive our organ on chip, to open them and to use directly, because they arrive already sterile and ready to be used. For us, this is good because it means recurrent revenues, it means also low COGS, and it means also that we have a high scalability. Of course, to work, we need also instrumentation, and we have developed and selling also instrumentation.
and biological kits, but we don't produce biological kits. So we have the capacity of producing them, but we prefer to use the ones that are already commercially available. For example, we have a partnership with Matec. Matec Corporation is a company located in Boston, and they produce 3D tissue that can be easily inserted into our device. But we can also host biopsies, 2D cells, and so on and so forth. Our go-to-market strategy is divided in different stages. So at present, we have completed stage 1, which means direct selling to R&D, so universities and research centers, by using different tools and approaches. And we have just closed our distribution agreement in Italy. In the bottom part, you see some of our top clients. We also have, as you can see, for example, a Roche pharmaceutical company. But in that case, Roche, in any case, means the R&D part of Roche. So we're not talking about the preclinical pipeline. This is our stage 2 objective, because now we would like to have distributors in Europe and USA, and to start some pilot studies with pharma companies, because what we have learned from our selling activity is that pharma has different needs, so they want more high throughput devices, and so we have to redesign it and to create new devices. Okay, these are the financial projections. Of course, as you can see, we have small COGS, 9%, and adding with little distribution and sale cost, it remains for us an interesting gross margin. For the 2021, we have already reached, as I told you, our objectives. And at present, to fully do the plan that is in the slide, we need 2.4 million euro divided in marketing for the device that is already on the market and we are selling. So we wanted to push up to scale up its adoption, and R&D for validations and for the production of a new high throughput devices for pharma. What have we achieved so far? So we have 3 patents. So we have a good IPR strategy. We have won several awards, also Seal of Excellence from the European Commissions. We launched our product, and we were able in 8 months to gain 50 customers in 15 countries. And what is more relevant is the fact that we launched the product in January of this year, so 2021, which means during the COVID. And so since you have a physical product that you need to see, of course, because if not, it is difficult to understand if it fits your need. In any case, using all the digital approach, we were able to gain this 50 customers. Of course, we have scientific validations. Apart from me, these are the founders. So Silvia Scaglione, she's the engine of the company. She's the scientist, inventor of patents. She has won several awards. By the way, the European Commission nominated her as ambassador due to the capacity to start from the basic research, reaching to the market. Then, of course, we have other people that are in the crucial department of the company. So that's all for me.
There's no question.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been on the video that we missed, but if you could just explain how it's different than a traditional sort of non-systemic petri dish solution to this. Does it flow through the chambers in some way, or?
Can I put the video?
Please, yeah.
It was exactly.
I try to push the bar, see if you start. No?
No.
Just
Can you go on YouTube?
No, because I don't have on YouTube.
Spot they brought.
Let me open it as the PowerPoint that you sent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's on.
I read explaining it, and of course then we can see it. So the fact is that when you are in a petri dish, you put your biopsy or cells or whatever, and what happens is that the cells eat what they should eat from the medium, and then there are metabolites. In Italian, I would say another word, but I don't know how to say in English. So the environment where the cells live, it is not the correct environment because of course you know that in our body the metabolites are
Well,
flow,
right.
yeah, for sure, because there is the flow. So what So as you can see in the video, there are no tissues due to the clarity apart from the tumor biopsy that is in the channel. You've seen that then it is owned by the flow. But the fact is that, of course, we reproduce perfectly with that human body. So, for example, just to make a scientific papers that we have done, we have tried cisplatin drugs. Cisplatin is drug per il cancro.
Drug
For
cancer.
oncotherapy. And what it happens is that we have recreated a three-dimensional tumor with another pattern that we have on materials. So we put the cells, we recreated the tumor environment, and then we put the drop of cisplatin on that. And what it happens is that cells don't die. So cancer cells don't die, only die the external cancer cells, but the inner core stay alive. But this is not real because, for example, in the mice or in the human body, also you use this type of drug because it works perfectly. So when we added the flow and we put our device, it works perfectly. Why? Because the fact is that if you don't have flow, the external cells create like a sort of barrier. So they die and they create a sort of barrier that avoid the cisplatin to enter into. But when you add the flow, it works exactly as the human body, and we reproduce perfectly what it happens with the mice. So
Is your device here for drug experimentation discovery, or can it also be used for the development of test kits?
Well, at present, it is not a medical device, so it has no regulations. It can be used for the clinical screening, even if it is not regulated. When you have 10 molecules or 100 molecules, something like that, you can use our device to screen it and to proceed with less molecules than on the mice, because it is compulsory to use the mice. You can use it for assay, for research assay, and in the future you can also use, because we're already doing research in this field, you can use for personalized medicine. For example, with a big pharma company, we're exactly looking at that. So putting the biopsy, tumor biopsy inside the reactor, keeping them alive, because what happens is that if you remove a tumor biopsy from the body and you put in a petri dish, in 2 days it is completely dead. So you don't have time to test any type of drugs. But if you insert in our device, then the life will prolong, and then you can, of course.
How long?
Sorry?
How long can you?
Well, at present we are able to triplicate the life. It's not enough, but it is an exceptional result in any case.
So in your device, do you have sensors involved with it, or are you just using it to grow the specimen that then is taken out of it and then use other sensors and tools on to analyze it?
So your question is if we have sensors in the device, or is it? We have a roadmap for sensorizing it, of course, because many customers have asked us, for example, to measure the pH or the temperature or whatever, or also some biochemical sensors that are able to understand, for example, the oxygenation or.
And some of the thermal imaging to see what happens as it grows and changes and stuff like that?
Well, we can make imaging because they don't see. If you have seen from the video, probably not, but the device can be put directly on an inverted microscope. So it is completely transparent like glass, even if it is plastic. But we're absolutely very, very careful in allowing the maximum visibility. So it is like glass. So you can put on a microscope and see the tissue from assolutamente.
At the bottom.
on the bottom. This is interesting to me. I was on the innovation space.
Your expertise in security and then.
Well, he said companies in the.
Yeah, I've started companies and sold companies in healthcare space too. Now I was on the National Innovation Committee, both at NIH and NCI, the National Cancer Institute, National Student Health. And this is one of the areas where there's tremendous challenges. And one of the other areas where the Petri dish type of thing has some challenges as you begin to grow is in contamination of the sample and things. What are you doing to prevent contamination of?
Well, the system is completely sterile. We don't have any contamination. As you have seen, there is a tip. We have a different type of tips according to different needs. For example, I didn't enter into technical details, but from the video, we have seen that you can have flow below the tissue, and we can also have flow.
It's all on the top too.
Yeah, on top, exactly. And but we don't have any problem with contamination because the chamber has been designed to prevent contamination. Of course, it can happen.
And your device, I think I saw you were doing, what, a 30% margin on it?
60.
6%
Gross
margin.
margin 66, 65.
And your goal is to not only sell the base device, but sell the consumables part on top of it, correct?
Well, we typically want to sell the consumables. So my business model, the best would be to sell millions of consumables to customers. Of course, I didn't explain, but we also have a biochemical lab, so we can also make services. We typically have used services to better understand from the customers what we need, and to completely destroy the barrier for the adoption of the device, because it happens that typically customers are used to use a 2D assay. So when I go there, I say, what is a 3D assay? And then you add the fluidics, too complicated for me. So what happens is that I say, no, it's not complicated. Tell me what you need. I prepare the assay for you. Then you come to my premise. You make a workshop with me. I teach you how to use it, and then I give you all the whole package.
So training is part of your offering then to them as well?
Sure.
So I saw that in your partners, you have Roche Europe. Customer. Have they brought any of it over to Roche USA yet?
No, because we have already won some Roche Innovation Day, Roche Customer Day, and I presented also to Roche USA. But I think it is difficult if you don't have a company here to sell to Roche USA, because it is too innovative. So people are afraid. But really, it is incredibly simple. It is so simple that many people told, "Oh, it is not possible. I won't give you my money for this too simple."
I have a couple of questions, and the first one is, you have patents, I remember EU patents are not patented in the device. Yeah, but they should.
Well, we have filed. Yeah. In Italy, we have filed.
Provisional or non-provisional?
I don't know the difference.
You want the provisional means you have 18 months to file your real patent.
No. It is localized, because we made the extension with the PCT, and when the PCT was concluded, then we localized the patent in USA, Canada, Australia, China, seven countries. Okay, fantastic.
I see, I can understand. So how, you have clients, what is your revenue and what is your valuation for the 2.3
Well, at
billion euros?
Yeah, at present, if I include only revenues for the device, so the device is for removing services, European projects, funds, and whatever, this year we will close at 130 kilo euro, and it is for us, it is 4 times than the last year revenue. Of course, the numbers are very, very small. We have foreseen for the next year to make another growth rates, and that projections.
So about $150,000, $160,000 in revenue right now. And if you include all the revenue with your R&D grants that you have from.
Typically, we are more or less 1 year for the other, 350, something like that.
And how much of that is services that you're providing versus grants?
Services typically are very, very low because we typically have could be 20K or 30K per year, because we use the services exactly as I told you before, just to understand better our value proposition and to allow the customer to.
Right, the EU does multiple grant types. Under the 2 EU grants you have received, do you retain full intellectual property and full market capabilities, or did they claim exceptions to that in their grants to you?
No, absolutely. At present, we are coordinating a future emerging technology grant from the European Commission. I don't know if you know them, but they are very, very competitive, okay? And we are coordinating it, and of course, we are with universities, Switzerland universities, Netherlands, and so on and so forth. So we have 5 or 6 partners, the most experienced in the world, and the project is about recreating a new device for the metastatization of the breast cancer to the bone. So very innovative and very complicated, and we are the company that is in charge for market the outcome of the project. So we have full exploitability of the project.
Angelo, I don't know if you know this, but remember Alexander I introduced you to in Athens? His wife lives in Brussels and runs this new brand.
Okay.
Really? Which is the name?
Castanopoulos is her part of her last name. I don't know her first name. I know her husband very, very well.
Okay.
But I've been an advisor to them and throughout the region, and an advisor to EU, to the commission. But they have so many different programs with different restrictions on the dollars. You are committed with that, which is why I was asking the question to see if you retained all your intellectual property, or whether you had to give them the rights to use it within the jurisdiction of the EU.
The only thing in relation to EU grants is, if you were to come to the US, do you have the freedom of moving the corporate headquarters of the company here, as opposed to keeping the headquarters in the EU because they gave you that grant? In some cases you can, it all depends on what you've negotiated. In other cases you cannot.
I don't think this is a restriction, but in any case, what I can tell you is that we will not probably move the corporate headquarters here, but we can for sure create a new company with the capacity of exploiting the US market, which is very interesting because we have too many researchers interested and so on in Europe.
I understand. When we say corporate headquarters, it doesn't mean that you have to move everyone from Italy here. Just one person is enough.
Sure. That's.
But the company has to be incorporated in Delaware. If you have any possibility of attracting money from US investors, because investors don't want to put their money on a branch office.
Yeah.
They have zero control of how you use their money. In fact, the money that we typically raise for our portfolio companies goes back to fund development of host country. So the investor has to own the whole thing, not just the part.
I think it is not a problem to create them, but in this case, creating a company in Delaware that participated and of course the possibility to exploit the whole market.
It could work in both two ways. One, the Italian company becomes a wholly owned subsidiary of the US company, or the Italian company could be a contractor plastic to the US company. But the US company has to be the holding company. That's how you attract investors in the US. And I think it will be relatively easy to raise money for what you're doing in the US for the 2.3 million years you want and beyond. That's my understanding, David, you might, and part.
Corporate venturing arms, as opposed to traditional VCs, I think would be very interested in this.
Yeah.
You know, some of them.
And your valuation right now, you have
Up to over 16 million.
16 million euros. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, are you in? So we change field. Okay. And let's leave, you are the last one, then you show your drive. How to change field? Ahmed.
We are in bee caves and I talk about bee.
Okay.
Okay. Quello giornata
Yeah, when we saw the address, well, this is your address.
Georgia, Georgia, yes, now into the compressed version. Sorry about that.
Okay.
It'll hit your mind in a second.
And by the way, one of our investment committee members, he could not be here, but he actually asked us to take a close look at what you're doing.
Okay.
Which means he liked it.
Okay.
Step for safety.
So I'm Ottavio and I'm going to introduce you Be Secure. We bring innovation in the world of pollinators in order to make it transparent, understandable, and actionable. In the last 10,000 years, humankind is studying plants to optimize agriculture with incredible results. But now it's time for a revolution. To feed the whole ecosystem, we need a new strategy that considers the whole ecosystem. It's time for pollinators, farmer friends. Behind 80% of the food we're eating every day, there's a special but, not only fruit and vegetables, but also cocoa and coffee exist thanks to a special pollinator. The most famous honeybee, but also mason bee, bumblebees, and different type of mites work for free every day. With a good pollination, a farmer can have more yields, up to 20%, and the food is more rich of vitamins and strong. But today, a nest of pollinators is a black hole of information. So be secure, turn on the light on this black hole. We are like a Google Translate for insect. Our relation with pollinators started a long time ago in Roberto's family with his grandfather. But now the team is full of people, expert in software, hardware, marketing, and more. With our product, we can help the farmer to preview productivity of each crop and finally pay the rent of the nest pollinator with the real data. We can help the beekeepers to save time, increase honey production, and reduce bee losses because we have installed on the sensor a GPS for rescue the hives. The robbery of hives is the big problem. And we can help the researcher to develop new product in respect of pollinators. We started a few years ago, but now we have many customers, and most of our service have a subscription plan, and we are really proud of our retention rate of 90%. We have free product. EOT sensor is a B2B, and B-Box is a B2C and data. EOT sensor was installed on the nest of the different pollinator and start to collect the data. Then the data goes to our cloud and an algorithm and AI intelligence create customized report for different type of customers like beekeepers, farmers, and researchers. The bee box is the urban hive for urban beekeeper. It's like barbecue for honey. You can have your self-made honey on the backyard in simple mode and safe. Now we are based in Italy and Europe, but in the next 4 years we want to expand our market here in the United States because the market is full of opportunities for us. We have some partnership for research. One of our strengths is the partnership for research. We have a partnership also here in the United States, in University of California, but we are really happy to start a new partnership here in Texas. Why we are different from our competitors? Our competitors are focused on selling hardware. We are focused on selling a service with our collection of data. And we are the only one can collect data from bumblebees, and bumblebees is really important because it is the only pollinator used in indoor farming. We are looking for a partner and investor to start a new company here in the United States. We are already cash positive, but we want to grow strong and fast. And we have many exits for our investor with big agri-tech data companies and data collection companies. In the future, we want to use our technology for different type of insect, such cricket used for the protein production. Thank you for watching.
So a quick question, help me understand what you do better. So you track the pollinators, right?
Yes, we have a sensor on the nest.
On the nest.
And
so what exactly are you tracking? You're tracking how many of them go out and how many come in, or?
Yes, with the movement, but also the noise, the weight of the nest. So it's important for a beekeeper because the weight can notify you. You have to change the harvest zone. And so you have more honey. You can save time, increase productivity. But not only the movement, also is a secret.
So the weight, let's say in honey, it's honey. Do you track the weight of bees as well, or that's impossible? I guess that will require.
Yeah, the
very
weight of
precision.
bees.
Yeah.
Tipo il peso delle api o.
The weight of the bees, you calculate it when
Okay.
like
Indirectly you calculate it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, when you take off the honey and everything,
Yeah.
you will see the difference there.
Okay.
It's weighing the whole
I
structure.
mean, we're understood
Weighing the
that
whole structure.
The whole
So,
structure.
right, they'll be able to tell us.
they're able to understand, if I understood that from Roberto said, like if the bees are stressed, under stress, something going on, like there is something is not right at the moment by the buzzing, the noise that they make, so they can really, when you, some of these bees, like right now, we still think of the idea of you have a beehive here, they actually travel. They put on a truck, they go all around countries, farm to farm, because this part of their business, helping their farmers to get the pollinators on the ground.
Or what kind of flavor of honey you want.
Exactly.
My uncle was in the honey business, so I know quite a bit of that, but, interesting. Part of the problem in the US is losing so many bees.
Yes,
The African bee and all of that are there cameras on the sensors that would alert an owner of intruders that are harmful to the beehive?
No, you alert if the hive is moved. When the hive is moved from another place, you have the notification and you can call the police, or like in Italy, you go himself to rescue the bee.
The people still need to have.
This is a problem in Italy.
Really, there's
Yes.
someone behind.
But we have rescued 300 nests.
Wow.
That's a whole nother business.
Yeah.
Be
Be security, right?
Bee busters.
Very interesting.
How big is the
So-
consumer market, sorry? How big is the consumer market in the US? So there are a lot of people that are personally, that I still get that box. Is that
The big box.
Yeah, is that a big market?
The big box, we start Indiegogo crowdfunding and we sell 500 big box and the 40% here in United States. So the big box is interesting in United States, but if we produce the big box here, we can have more productivity, more fast and
So-
content.
It's the box, your technology with sensors, does it come with a Beehive or you put the Beehive in it?
No, the sensor you can put in a Beehive.
Okay,
The big box don't have the sensor.
okay.
If you want, you can install the sensor on the big box.
But the box you saw, you had a box and inside it was a Beehive, right?
Yes, we install the sensor on in the interior of the woods. You can remove it so easily because.
Yeah, the bees.
Yes.
Well, the cool thing about the bee box, you don't see this picture, but so it has all like glass around.
Yes.
And then there's like sort of look like a chimney that goes up. So the bees, they go in and out from the top of the chimney. So this way it's secure because they don't buzz around where humans are.
Okay.
Since it goes up to what, 2.5 meters?
Yes, I said something funny. I hate the bees, but I can take my honey with no problem, with no tools, with not protective tools. Because you block the harvested zone and the bee can exit but can re-enter. And the bees always move in movement.
Correct.
So in 1 hour you can take your honey, eat it, and not all the honey of the nest.
Sure.
Some honey is for the bee.
Does it work for wasps? People will pay you to have them removed from their house or.
It's not a pollinator.
Not a pollinator, really? Oh, I'm disappointed now. Well, okay.
Okay.
Is there a way to tie a subscription to the consumer model, to the box? Or is it just upfront? Is there anything the home folks on a continuous basis?
No, the home box don't have a subscription plan.
Yeah.
The subscription plan is for the data and for the GPS, and we have 100 clients and just paying.
The data is just too much for the consumer, that's just for, you don't really need the data. If you're just a retail consumer, the data is just for the.
Yes, for the professional.
Okay.
So the
Box is not
whole.
smart in any way. It's
No,
just-
the box is not smart.
It doesn't have any
It's so
sensor
simple to
time.
use. The sensor is for the professional farmer and the beekeeper.
But, you know, if you have a 1,000-acre ranch, you can be in a honey production business. And some people have hobby, I mean, they do, there's a lot of it in Texas, actually.
Yeah, I think a lot of my friends have like chicken coops, but too many problems with chicken coops, too many problems. I think this is more accessible than have a leech in the backyard, but can't wake up and pin chickens.
No, when I saw the video, I thought there's one of the things was like, this chimney.
The chimney,
Like, they go in and out from the
2
top.
meters.
So they show the
They're
videos
buzz
of
around.
what it
Yeah.
is.
It's like-
No, yeah, it's just F11. Yeah.
But just think about even application for schools. Maybe at a school, they can put a beehive there and they can do experiment, they can
Research.
become a science project and everything. So there's different other activities, a different other way to sell the bee box. That is not just the final guy that wants to have a beehive in his backyard. I'm just getting one invece un'altra amici.
You're missing the EF.
Mi sono scordato una cosa.
I think you spelled it, yeah.
Ok. No, this no.
Whether you're building dynamic network models or forecasting real-world behavior, Neo4j's new graph algorithms book will walk you through hands-on.
The bees are disappearing. More than 80% of our global food supply is made possible by bees. Bees are fundamental to the natural ecosystem and our survival as humans on this planet. But existing ways of beekeeping are often Bee-box is safer for humans. With our bee chimney, the only entrance and exit for bees is 2.2 meters or 7.2 feet above the ground. That means you can get up close and personal to observe your hive without disturbing your bees. Bee-box is also easy to use. Our patent-pending honey harvesting system safely separates the honey from where the bees live. Once the system is activated, the bees will exit but can no longer enter the honeycomb area. Just a pull of a lever, you can harvest your honey in a bee-free environment. No protective clothing required. Bee-box is 100% urban friendly and can function.
Stop.
As you want. So you get the idea.
You wanna go and buy one?
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, from the picture, you can understand. You can really understand, but like, how cool it would be, you know, having your kids, you know, be able to understand, look at the bees and everything, so.
Well, there's such a movement now, people eating, wanting to eat organic food. You know, people pay to be downtown to have a little plot of land, to have the community gardens. And they grow the vegetables and all of that. It's, people do it out of a hobby, but a lot of them do it because they want to live a healthy, non-GMO kind of food.
And especially honey, the US market
Yes,
is
honey is huge.
90% of it is not human. It's just.
We have researched the honey made in city are more healthy than agriculture because in the agriculture use product for the plant. In the city there is only smog, but it's better than the product.
Interesting.
And how much for the box?
The box is $700.
$700. How much does it cost? I know you don't sell the.
With no bee.
Yeah, but I don't sell bees, but just out of curiosity, how much would it cost the consumer to purchase Beehive?
I don't know, sorry, I give you wrong information.
Tu se vuoi vedere le api poi lo.
Se vuoi comprare le api. In Italy we have a service, if you want, we buy the bee from us and we take it, and you are $102 left.
But get the bee,
The bee,
Separate.
It's like $1,000 all in, just thinking out of pocket, what it's gonna cost, how accessible is it? That's pretty reasonable.
yes.
And then the services are on top of that, right?
There's no services for the whole version.
It's only
But
It's for the big assessment.
by adding some sensors, there's
Okay, yeah.
smart version of.
Correct, and I understand, and what would the services be on a monthly basis?
For the service, for the B-Box, we have some webinar and educational for bee. But now the subscription plan are for the sensor.
Yeah, and the
But
kind of
maybe in
services.
future.
No, I was asking what kind of services for the subscription? Quando tu vai quella
You have the position of the GPS, and if you are a beekeeper, you have the data for the safe time of the honey, the weight. Or if you are a farmer and a beekeeper take to you the net for pollination, you can have the data with the real data of the pollination. So you can say to the beekeepers, your bee don't work really well, I won't pay you, in the example, and you can have concrete data.
And the service is how many dollars per month?
Now it's $25 per year. Euro.
25 euros per year?
Per year.
Yes, now.
That's inexpensive. I would say people will buy the box, will buy that's only cost, I mean, I was thinking that you'll say $400 a month for the service, but that's
We can make it more expensive.
Chris is price.
okay. It's very nice.
Thank you.
Think about the back where you can make.
Chris, your mind
Is, yeah,
Chris is all.
We have one ready since the beginning, so you go ahead.
He flew to Greece to have baklava with me. and then-
Specifically for
And
that
he
one.
forgot, and then he came back. We traveled to Poland together. Yeah, but he flew to Athens, we had a baklava. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Valentina Garonzi, and I'm the CEO of Diamante. Diamante is a biotechnology company that is creating a new take on molecular farming.
This with this one you change that.
So our value proposition is development of a novel therapeutic approach for autoimmune diseases that is based on the restoration of cell tolerance. And our main project is the creation of a specific therapy for rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is one of the most common autoimmune diseases worldwide that affect more than 1% of the whole population. For this disease, there is not a cure, only general treatments that are mainly based on the immunosuppression of the immune system in general. And moreover, 10 to 20 of the patients do not respond to any drug in use. Our solution is the development of a specific RNA treatment. So we started from 2 specific immunomodulator molecules, and our goal is to develop an intravenous and oral treatment for the remission of the disease. Our solution is based on the restoration of the cell tolerance, so we are able to re-educate the immune system to allow it to immune tolerate the specific immune cell that cause the mistakenly autoimmune response. How we do that? So fighting fire with fire, so by the administration of the specific cause itself. In comparison with the current treatments that are mainly immunosuppressions, our solution is more specific because selectively block only the mistakenly response of the autoimmune system, avoiding the increasing of risks of side effects and infections. Moreover, we produce our molecules exploiting the molecular farming technology. So we genetically modify plant viruses and use plants as a natural bioreactor. We are able to produce our molecules. So our unique proposition is the composition of an innovative therapeutic approach that is more specific, that works at the very beginning of the disease, avoiding the risk of side effects and infections, plus an innovative production approach that is safer than the traditional one, cost-effective and also scalable. All is possible thanks to our team. I'm the CEO, I'm responsible for the business area. Roberta Zampieri is the president. She is a PhD in biotechnology. Linda Vesani is a PhD in biotechnology and is also an international researcher recognized in the field of molecular farming for the diagnosis of and the therapy of autoimmune diseases. And then Lisa Jekyll is also a PhD in biotechnology. We are also supported by a scientific and business advisory board that is composed particularly from John, that is the president of the Open Innovation at Bayer, Elena Sgaravatti, that is the founder of several biotech companies, and Gianfranco Bellezza, that is a general and scientific manager and that did the exit in the field. So our goal is to conclude the preclinical trials in animal model by next year, and then move to the activities for the in-package necessary to enter the FDA activities, and then start the phase 1 clinical trial by the end of 2023. We have a portfolio of patents that are in the diagnostic and in the therapeutic field, and we are also protecting these RNA particular application with a patent on the composition of matter. And we are supported by a company law that is based in Boston. This will help us in entering the RNA market that is expected to value in 2029, 28 billion euros. Is composed by a major player like pharma company like AbbVie and Bristol Myers, And we expect that the tolerance induction therapy, which is our target market, could reach the 10% of this market. So now we are looking for industrial partners and an equity investment in order to conclude the preclinical study and then license the project to a pharma company. In our product portfolio, we have also other application for other autoimmune diseases, both in the treatment but also in the prevention of autoimmune diseases. Since we started the company, we were supported by several organizations. We are part of a European project that is composed of 14 organizations in Europe, and we recently were incubated by Mass Challenge here in Houston. So thank you for your attention.
So do you need FDA approval? Can this become a consumer product based on some clinical research studies that point out to its effectiveness?
Yeah, we need the approval of the FDA in the sense that we want to start the FDA process for the phase 1 clinical trials.
You do, David? Because, I mean, one of our companies is Verifex, and they have a solution for, what you might call it, neuropathy. And they chose not to go through the FDA route. They just sell it because it's effective. They did some limited.
Depends how they sell it. If it's sold as a supplement, you can bypass
The FDA approval.
If it's sold as a drug,
Yeah, it's a drug.
if it's sold as a drug, it has to go through the FDA.
So you're selling it as a drug?
It's a drug.
And
so
particularly looking at her steps, how she's deriving it from the plants and then manipulating it to purify to be used as an autoimmune response, it's gonna have to go through FDA.
Yeah.
So is this related to the COVID RNA technology where your whatever supplement you take or drug you take, then your body creates the mechanism to fight? Very similar or?
Similar but not the same.
Not the same.
Because the other one modifies this is just dealing with the autoimmune system.
Okay. So,
I mean, the approach is really interesting, particularly with it being derived from potatoes. As I look through the slides there, there's probably more.
We are using the tomato plant virus. So.
Yeah, and you begin to do that, and it opens the grounds where this can be moved into other markets pretty rapidly. After you get approval of the base process, the first approval is the one that's going to take the time. After that, add-ons and other ones will go much faster, unless it's unless it has side effects that come out during the base trials.
And what side effects could there be? Any?
The plant virus that we use are virus that we eat every day because it's a plant virus of the tomato. So in this sense, it's not dangerous for humans. So.
But too much of a good thing could be a bad thing too.
Yeah, there are a lot of evidence in literature that and for products that are developed from plant viruses that are safer for humans.
Even though there are people who have problems with it, it's like my son, if it's a plant that is done in trees versus roots, he's very allergic to it. I'm allergic to any drug made of horse serum, which is how the old tetanus shots and things used to be made, and it's now synthetic. I would blow up like a balloon with those. So there is that cycle that is part of what the phase 1 trials will begin to surface. I like the approach though.
Can I guess the viruses you use from plants can it be synthetically produced?
Yes, but you lost a lot of advantages of this approach, especially for autoimmune diseases, because with other approaches you have to use, for example, mammalian cells, but they could be more dangerous for humans. So one of the advantages of this system is that theoretical are safer for humans.
And this is more of a complex molecule approach and a simple molecule approach is from what I saw from just viewing it.
For example, there is a company that is based in the United States, it is Medicago, and they are using molecular farming, so this plant system, and they received recently the approval for the FDA for COVID vaccine.
From the
So,
plant-based,
yeah.
And Roche, not Roche, EI Lilly has a couple of plant-based ones that they are in internal trials right now, and one of their plant-based ones is a COVID as well. It's not a vaccine, it's an autoimmune response to COVID as opposed to an RNA response.
We tried also to do something for COVID just because all the world are doing that, and we develop a diagnostic kit. So, of course, we cannot compete with the world, but just to demonstrate that we have the capabilities to do that.
so what is the diagnostic kit?
It's just
Yeah.
but we try also to do that just to demonstrate that we are able to fight during this pandemic period, and we were able to do that. We have other application. We are focused on this particular one because we think that rheumatoid arthritis is a big market, but also we develop same proof of concept in animal model for the prevention of type 1 diabetes. So we have other applications.
Type 1 diabetes, not type 2.
Type 1.
The quick question. If you develop this drug, how long would you be on it before you see results? And more importantly, my question is, will this not cure
It
or
could be.
reverse?
It could be. Is an assumption that we want to demonstrate that is not a treatment but a cure.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, it's the approach that we are developing would not be a treatment, but a cure, complete, because the proof of concept that we did in the animal model, there were a complete remission of the symptoms of the RNA. Of course, we have to do a bigger, but the result that we have is promising.
Great business. And you have no revenue right now because you're in the
No, we just do
research
some
space.
services, but we don't have revenues. We are financing the activities through grants, Europe grants, Italian grants, and we have also seed investor.
So 500,000, 1.5 million, 3.5 million. Is that in euros or dollars? Like it's euros.
It's yours, but
I think I know what this is going to be.
I think you might know their side.
Yeah, that's. Hey, Chris. Did you want sandwich? Unless there's certain ones where you're gonna read it.
Yeah, back after one. I have a friend with a different name, but I asked Angeles to send me the decks and it's everything that I've seen, like, it's fantastic. You guys are doing an incredible thing. Like, really. So.
Thank you.
Well, how about that?
Fantacalcio, confuso,
Ti ricordi che te l'avevo detto sta cosa?
Chris,
Anch'io, grazie.
Chris, single-handedly funded the portfolio company of ours. $1 billion. So he's a big investor. Absolutely.
Yeah, the last thing we didn't answer much, so.
So, last but not least, hi everybody, I am Enrico. I'm the CEO and the founder of Energy to Build. And our mission is to provide renewable solar energy anytime and anywhere, smart ones. What is the problem I'm trying to tackle with my solution? I'm sure you have found yourself with low phone battery while you were laying on a sand beach, skiing at a mountain resort, or just relaxing in a bar while you were savoring your favorite drink. Essentially, batteries nowadays do not last this heavy use of smartphones, and within a day, most of the times your battery is going down. So what's the problem? That you need to have a cable, you need to have a cord, socket. Sometimes when you go to the bar and ask for sockets to be used, they are overcrowded, and you also run yourself as a business owner with a safety risk, which is quite high. So our solution offers direct sun recharge just with a plug-in charge. And it is possible also to use the station when it is dark or cloudy, thanks to the battery pack that is right in front. And also the customers of the business owners can safeguard the devices in the back side of the SunPower station. By doing this, we are effectively offering a 24/7 clean recharge anytime and anywhere. The SunPower station is has a patent in Europe and also has been patented in the US in terms of design.
So it's a design patent or utility patent?
Design patent. What is this? The startup has been created in 2016, but I spent 2 years prototyping with many different versions. The first version has been done in Meta Relate. I will show you this to you afterwards, and also doing the intellectual property defense. I have been always concentrating my efforts and investments in improving the usability and the design, leaving the technology to external market leaders. Then in 2019 has been done the market launch, and I've already started making also sales in this year. So why Energy to Go today in 2021? Because effectively smartphones own our life. There is no other device as fundamental as our smartphone. It contains it all. And moreover, sustainability is a must. Small habits can make the difference in the saving money and also enhancing the SunPower perception of new generations. My website has already registered more than 600,000 unique visitors, and during the last exhibition I did in Rimini, I had customers visiting my booth from all over the place, and moreover, the second most important source of visits in my website is the United States, just right after Italy. Target market is basically any place where you are enjoying your time, so an outdoor place, can be a beach resort, a mountain lodge, a restaurant, a bar, a public park, a 4- and 5-star hotel, special event, and any place where you are enjoying your time.
Anybody gonna left
and right.
Yeah, go back. Okay.
So what's the value? What's in it for our customer? This is a B2B selling. So the aim is to improve the service, make money on my solution, and also obtain another word of mouth. So the return on investment is quickly captured through service charge, which is an option, or elsewise enhance the customer experience. Italy's market has been evaluated in 156 million euros, and the obtainable market from energy to go is 5.5 million euros within 2025, and the objective is to reach this amount through 3.7 million in bars and restaurants, 1.3 in campings, beach resorts, and mountain lodges, and the 500,000 in 4- and 5-star hotels. Marginality roadmap is very clear. I expect to be able to reach the 50% profit percentage index in 2025, and the maximum profit loss is expected to be next year as -5%. 37,000 units is the forecast for 2025. Product lines that I would like to be keeping are only the ones that are eco-friendly, so made in birchwood, as you can see. And the immediate direct cost reduction I will be able to achieve is -50% from now until next year through ad hoc investments I shall be running. Revenue model is made by a door-to-door selling with a distributor licensing approach in the EU and US. And also I expect to be reselling other companies' joint services, or offering also join the social media campaigns to the business owners with instant payment campaigns, so that they can quickly return the cost of the SunPower station. And moreover, I am opening up also new lines of new streams of revenues with gadgeting my product to food and beverage big companies and corporations, or even companies that are selling products that are related to the beach or the mountain. So it can be soup, it can be windsurf. They want to give my product for free for the best resellers that they have. And these numbers you can see over here is the total number of visits that shall be done within the 4 markets I would like to concentrate into, which is Italy, US, Spain, and Greece. And the last column is the FTE that I would like to deploy in the market. The red number that you see, 6.7, it's related to the fact that I expect in 2025 to be able to make also a selling in the online, which is today not possible because of the market awareness. My direct competitors are wall rechargers with safe lock that need a plug and there's a very slow recharge. Moreover, there are portable power banks that can be used with daily and hourly fee. And there are also solar stations that are much more expensive than mine, 3 or 4 times more. So why choosing energy to go in comparisons with many other different solutions for the same need? Because our solution is eco-friendly, it's cost-effective, it's light, portable, nice, and it's also customizable in logo and color. So you can just decide any color you wish, give me the logo, and we can engrave it with a laser machine. Capital ask is 650,000 euros for next year, and I would use this money to buy the machinery plus 4 people in the production and with the renting of the plant. And then additionally, I will need 1.8 million from 2023 to 2025 to increase the sales team and focus more on the marketing investments. only in 2025, I am expecting to concentrate much more in the technology in housing and increasing the world coverage. And what I mean with this is that I would like also to offer my solution to third world countries where access to electricity is very difficult. And thanks to the economy of scale that I shall be reaching, it could be an interesting solution also for those countries, more than the Western ones. But I need to get there after my costs go down essentially.
Don't think just third world countries for that. We're installing, my company installing some next generation peer-to-peer wireless mass Wi-Fi. That most of the places we're installing does not have access to electricity. So for example, we're hitting all the tribal lands. We're exempted from regulations on some of it. And we're having to use solar and others to power because there's not power out there. And so it's a pretty very interesting model. And you know, your packaging to me I find interesting, because do you plan to only offer it in this type of packaging, or are you going to do other type of packaging with it as well?
With packaging, what do you mean?
What you have there?
The packaging, this is a packaging that I'm using to present the power banks that are inside, that are customizable in logo and color. Maybe from here you cannot see them, but afterwards I will show them. For example, the red one. This is from a jewelry boutique that have to replicate the same color of the boutique with also the logo Pasqualtroni, which is the Italian jewelry. And this one is another one. It's a tropical plate called Palmaretas. And this is the basic one in virtual.
So, quick questions. Maybe I missed something here, but you said restaurants and bars. In order for this to be recharged, it would be outside, right? Not inside.
Yes, it would be. You will need to be putting this outside, but it's also the idea with which Energy2Go was born is to offer the full cycle closed. So the battery in front can be removed at night and brought at the table in order to offer it with a service charge. So even imagine you are from Greece, so you know that there are plenty of spaces where you are staying in a beach and it's difficult to have electricity point, but then you are staying at the beach and when it is 7 or 8 p.m. and you want to go at the bar and have a nice dinner, no?
So,
Yes.
I know a little bit about this business because one of our portfolio companies actually pivoted in this area, but not what you're doing. They just brought in the Chinese made hot boxes, bars, restaurants, and it's a franchise model. The restaurants don't have really any interest in actually owning these things because they're not a huge generator, but they may even pay someone to put those machines in there because it takes a lot of the responsibility of being asked to charge phones, and some of those phones may be missing or whatever. So it's a power back with an app. It's called Recharge It. You can try it, where the only thing is it's not solar. It's connected to the Wi-Fi and power, and it has batteries, and you can buy anywhere from 6 to 12 to 20 power boxes with different batteries, and you take the battery out and you charge your phone. You take the battery with you.
Portable power banks, yes, that's one.
Absolutely, and it's charging you by 30 minutes, every 30 minutes via an app. You pay, the power battery comes out, and it has already the wires embedded in it that will charge any kind of phone. And you bring back the, you can actually even keep the battery if you want.
Yes.
Or you can bring it back.
That's what you are depicting me is the right reason why I did not invest in the power banks ever standalone, because the market is overcrowded with plenty of different solutions, but all of them, in my idea, have have a weak point in the fact that we are trying to charge the end customer. Most of the time, the end customer does not want to pay for this service because he is expecting that the business owner is able to solve that need when they have it as part of the whole experience that they're having in the place. And when you are succeeding to answer this need in an innovative way that creates the enjoyment in the customer, then it becomes something different because they take the pictures, they post it in the Instagram, and it becomes viral. And considering the overall cost in the market of this solution, that's what they like the most.
No, I understand it, but I mean, in China, those power banks are everywhere, every single business. There is no room for any growth. Your market is limited to those that basically want to, the naturalists that want to use solar power or any other renewable source of power. So that can be very limited. Where you may need to look a little bit more is whether the owners of these restaurants want to own it. Our portfolio company basically saying, you want to buy the city of Austin? We'll sell you the franchise, we'll provide you with the boxes and the batteries, you place them, and you make money out of it. Because, someone has to, they're all monitored electronically. If some people took them and never returned them, someone physically has to go back and put a new battery pack into the system. And they're only $150, by the way. They're not like they're very expensive. You buy the power box, $150 and comes with all the batteries you need.
Mm-hmm.
And you rent them, and you might, it's a franchisee, you make money out of that service using the app.
And what's interesting to me, Angelo, is one of the companies in Brazil that I've looked at in this space, they don't provide cables for any of theirs. They're only inductive charging. So you don't have it. I mean, I'm spoiled. I mean, I use a Morphe with the extra battery pack for my case. And I actually have an extra Morphe charger pack in case I need to recharge my phone more than 3 times.
Okay.
Because the internal battery and this battery are 3 charges.
So there is a market, don't take me wrong. I just don't know how big that market is. People, most of the people will go for the convenience. A lot of people are gonna just go for the solar power. But I don't know how much that market.
I could see this at amusement parks. I could see this at amusement parks, depending on his charge rate. And if he's up in the 4 amp range, I could see it at beaches, amusement parks. If he's in the lower voltage range, not as much, because the charge time would be too long.
Or different parks. National parks.
Yeah, even a safety, you can place a remote part of your park, people go forward.
Because the public sector would be interested in using solar. I'm just sure that the bar.
I would like to sell my camping equipment.
Also in golf resorts, if you are staying outside from the own villa and you are very far out, you would like to have some recharging stations that are coherent with the place you are staying at. So you were asking for the speed of charging, it can get up to 2.5.
So it's a medium range then?
Yes, it depends on the strength of the sun, of course. But then, and the other question you made of Wi-Fi charging, the power bank that is inside that also has a panel on the back, there is also Wi-Fi charge.
And this, I mean, I mentioned earlier, we have a startup from Poland actually that is working on quantum wireless charging, and they can take 1 milliwatt of power to their transmitter, which is enough power to send a signal to the receiver, which is attached to the iPhone. and they can produce 50 watts of power on the iPhone. Outside of the electromagnetic field. Like, and we visited them, they said, the concept of forever battery is very, very near with quantum technology. So you'll never need to have power supplies or wiring on laptops. The first market they're going to go after is a laptop. And then the second one is implantable devices because no heat, no radiation. And third is the EV battery market as well as drones. Right now, their distance is limited, but the difference with different materials and technology can be infinite. This is mind-boggling, but you can have the receiver here and the transmitter here, and the receiver could be in Japan, and you'll be able to charge that device. It's a bit contradictory to the modern physics. It's not transmitting energy, it's allowing, with a signal that it gives, they're paired to allow certain protons within the receiving element to rearrange themselves and create their own power.
Going back to Enrico's product, I think, and as he said it, this is one of the first times it's really like clicked with me. It's, one of the fields we haven't really, or one of the, niche markets we haven't really looked too much into, from our end, the Italian trade agency, but, all these wedding venues, right? Especially now that outdoor weddings are so popular, and especially the ones that are like the concept, the barn weddings and things like that, especially throughout the Deep South. Think about a wedding, that's normally an all-day affair. So you're a lot more likely to have your phone at the end of the reception. You have a lot higher chance because you've also been taking pictures, which takes a lot of memory. I think that would be a really good area to use, especially with the customizability of everything. I mean, you could even do it depending on cost, even for, couples love customizing everything. People are already spending so much money at weddings anyway. I mean,
unless we're having venues that have the power backs that Chinese have invented years ago. What is the cost of this?
Cost of this is $399 VAT included, $399 VAT included euros.
The batteries, you mean?
No, everything, all the station.
So it's twice as much as the power back.
Selling price, right?
And how many?
I'm talking about selling price. Selling price.
And how much is how many battery packs is it?
Battery pack is only one. There is one in front. And then the panel is 16 watts power.
So what if two people want to charge? There's only one battery that you can move out?
The solar panel is able to sustain with 16 watts 2 simultaneous devices recharging. Then there are additional 2 slots in the back where you can save your phone that can be serviced by the power bank that you have there in the top side. So overall, the station is able to provide simultaneous charge to 4 devices.
4 devices. So you'll have 4 battery packs people can move out to take with them and charge their phone?
No, there is no battery pack. There is only one, the one that you see there in front.
But therefore, your phone has to be connected to this.
Yes, the phone needs to be connected to it, and you safeguard it in the back. There are keys, you close it. In the next months, I will replace keys with bracelets, the one that you use in the pool, and trying to make some additional arrangements.
Why not create boxes that the solar panels can charge all of them at the same time, and you pull it out, you go wherever you want with it, and no,
because that adds the same risk that you were depicting before. There is a logistic part and especially at least in Italy and in southern countries like Spain or Greece, you may be in troubles in being effectively capable to avoid them to be stolen.
Have you done any market research to figure out whether businesses really beach bars and they would like to buy this and offer this as service? Or typically the business model for the power battery packs is you pay, the user pay the fee, and they will be more than happy to pay it because usually at bars at night, they all run out of battery and that's when they need it.
I did market research in Italy and I discovered that this business model of renting power banks not only is not profitable, but also is not liked by the end customer because they don't want to pay. So when you go to the bar and ask, yes, the people came here, they gave me all these power bills, but customers do not want to pay. So at the end, they keep asking me to use the socket. So I'm not paying for the power bills because I'm only distributing the product. But for me now, this is a problem because it's occupying my space. It's not generating revenue, so I'm going to return it.
Yeah, they will just look for a plug and buy the charging.
When I present my product, they tell me that what they want is something that is nice, it works, and it's cost effective. So this is what the customers like of it.
And I see the point of switching the model up and moving the payment model off of the end customer. Just seems like really got nailed the target customer with basically they're rolling in able and paying for it. A lot of those look like maybe either really high-end businesses or like very rural businesses, kind of like your market's almost like stratosphere, like very high-end, very low-end almost. Is both cases probably a fairly durable box? Like how durable is this board? Like if it's outside and it's like, it's physical weather, like how often do you need to do a break or someone's dropping kicks it, like termite, yeah, how.
It has a special painting that allows you to look outside and it's currently one protection for device. But of course, it's heavy rain inside. But I think you'll notice that the upper side of it can be easily removed. You don't need to take everything with you. And the overall weight of it is only 8 kilograms, so even a girl can easily remove it as if it was an umbrella.
Oh, okay.
In your patents, or you can put that in the United States, or
Also in the United States, there is a design patent that is already.
it's bylaws?
Yes. Yes.
So don't survive in your target customer experience with the tribes?
I think good.
You think good?
I mean, it would be a plus for a child.
Yeah.
I think part of his delivery on it is incorrect at this time. Because if I put it in some other places, there's places where the single design would work great. There's places where I would bifurcate it.
So the battery attached to the board.
So that the board is distant from the battery.
There we go. Why is that? So you grab the sun, there's someone with the sun and someone who want to charge.
Well, let me put them on the roof, or let me put them on the outside of the building and pull the recharging inside.
How do you get it?
I can either do it wired or wireless. And yeah, I can do
Customer factors and stuff.
And I like the approach, but I don't like his form factor.
You like the approach, but you don't like
Your form factor.
foreign factor. Form factor. You don't like the design. Okay, that's it's not.
It feels like a good MVP time.
Yeah,
Like intro, this works, we can get in the field. I think when you go start to talk to the 4 and 5-star resorts, or you talk to the beach bar, or you talk to the tribe in the field, they'll have slightly different requirements. And I think it's a good first step. I think you're thinking about it. It's a good first step. And just thinking you get in the marketplace to understand a little bit more of that. I think it's just one of those things you just really need to nail the target customer and give a specific requirement. It's fine. And
requires performance.
I mean, this would work well in a restaurant that's outside.
Yeah.
More than a restaurant that's inside. This would work good on the promenade of a cruise ship.
Yeah.
But not on the inside of the cruise ship. I mean, that's where I'm saying the form factors need to change as you begin to look.
Yeah, it's
at
more
these
outdoor,
here.
this, why keep insisting, you're at the beach, you're off by the pool on a resort. Like, it's more on outdoor ideal for him.
Because he has excess capacity. House from his photovoltaics there, he could do a model where it can charge the battery, but he could do a direct model using inductive charging, where you could do that at the station as well, because he has excess power coming off the photovoltaics at that time. So I mean, to me, it's just a design, and the form factors, I think he's got a good MVP. He really needs to expand the form factor designs after the MVP.
All right, let's have one.
That's the stage, I think,